Hey there. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me again on the program. You know, I always love talking to you guys, and I always love sharing the cool stuff that I've learned. And I think you're going to like what I have to offer you today. So one of my last videos was about med beds. It was a comparison between tachyon energy holistic med beds as used by the secret space program, and scalar energy Tesla biohealing med beds, which are also a med bed, but a little bit more affordable, a little bit more approachable, and currently on the market. So I wanted to, since I spent a lot of time talking about Tesla biohealing scalar energy med beds and med batteries, which is a phenomenal technology that is so simple, it's remarkable. But what scalar energy, or in the Tesla biohealing model, what the scalar energy med bed battery is it's sort of like it attracts and focuses scalar energy that's in the universe, right? So you keep the battery with you, and it's always emanating and focusing and radiating scalar energy within about a 3-foot radius around the device or the battery, right? So I'm not exactly sure if the scalar energy Tesla biohealing device is a generator or if it's an attractant and an emanator. I believe it's an attractant and an emanator because I don't believe you can manufacture scalar energy because it's the energy of the universe. Anyway, so that's my opinion on that. Tesla biohealing. Also, if you suffer from COPD, terminal cancer, or a number of life-threatening diseases, you can go to teslabiohealing.com and click on the link, and you might qualify to get one of their healing med beds or batteries for no charge to use as long as you need it. Pretty interesting stuff. Tesla biohealing med bed batteries and generators, or Tesla biohealing med beds and products. Let me say that. So since I spent a lot of time on them in the last video, I wanted to explore a little bit more about tachyon energy holistic med beds as used by the secret space programs, and talk about, are they real? How are they real? How can we validate that they're real? How can we validate that they're off-world technology? And when you start seeing these med beds, you're going to go, yeah, these are off-world technologies. So I want to get started with the first thing, and that is, the word is that these med beds are off-world technologies, or came from off-world technologies. So I don't know that if they were reverse engineered or how that works out, but so the word is that these med bed technologies that have been around for 25 or 30 years are actually came from off-world technologies. So I think that's a good possibility. So that's the first thing we want to talk about. So if they did come from off-world technologies and they've been around for 25 or 35 years, how is that possible, right? So I'm going to share my screen with you, and stay with me, and I want you to see what I'm talking about. Okay, so sit tight. Okay, so here we are. This is on DuckDuckGo, and so I want you to see what we're looking at. Let me get this going over here. So look at this. U.S. Pentagon report, bombshell. U.S. government retrieved physical evidence of otherworldly existence. Former Israeli space chief says extraterrestrials have been in contact with Earthlings. Did the White House chief just say aliens exist? Former White House chief of staff has sent the strongest signals ever that aliens exist, and the U.S. government has been covering it up for fear of how the public would react. What does that tell you? Extraterrestrials are working with the U.S. government. In early May, researchers, activists, and political leaders and high-ranking military agency personnel from around the world testified to the reality of the UFO extraterrestrial phenomenon in front of several former United States members of Congress. Eisenhower had 3 secret meetings with aliens. The 34th president of the United States met with extraterrestrials at a remote airbase in New Mexico in 1954. Met with them in 1954. They had a meeting. So if they had a meeting in 1954, then that would lend credence to the possibility that these tachyon energy holistic med beds could very well have been moved forward or inspired by or created by or via off-world technology. So why do we think that? There's this. These are images of tachyon holistic med beds, plasma energy, tachyon energy holistic med beds. So here is a particular holistic med bed. Isn't this beautiful? Let me see if I can enlarge this. Zoom. So the story with these med beds is that they are totally self-contained, totally robotic. They're enclosed. They have gentle limb restraints, and they do robotic laser surgery. They also do an aerosol of painkillers or tranquilizers or numbing agents or whatever. And they have been used in the secret space program for years, is what they say. Okay. So I could see this being used in the secret space program, right? Again, we don't know if it's for real. This could be an artist's rendering. And why would they be using these med beds in the secret space program? Because I don't know that I believe that they use them to erase the memories of people that worked in the secret space program, because that just sounds kind of nefarious to me. It seems like there'd have to be a better reason for that, right? So the next thing I want to show you is this. Hold on, let me take. So this is what EUSTON96.com says about tachyons. And you can kind of read it with me if you like, but I'm just going to kind of go over it. In the area of quantum physics, energy without zero-point form is considered the starting point of the energy continuum. And the first energy form that emerges is known as tachyon, and it's basically used to describe a type of energy. The name tachyon is a word that comes from the Greek language taxis, which means fast. It was coined by Gerald Feinberg of Columbia University. Tachyons have never been found in experiments as real particles traveling through the vacuum, but we predict theoretically that tachyon-like objects exist as quasi-particles that travel at speeds faster than light and move through laser-like media. So they say tachyons are particles that have the ability to move at speeds that are faster than the speed of light and have the ability to travel or move back in time, although they are imaginary particles. They said that it's imaginary particles. Okay, so that's this guy. So let's go here. By interacting with what is called subtle energy fields, or SOEF, the term coined by Dr. Gabriel Cousens, MD, in his book Spiritual Nutrition and the Rainbow Diet, describes an energetic theory of nutrition, which states that our bodies are templates of subtle energy, subtle organizing energy fields. So to kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about, tachyon energy being 0-point energy, right? It's the first energy point in the energy step down to physicality, right? So tachyon energy is what they call source energy, which is source energy, which is God energy, right? Life force energy. So subtle organizing energy fields are what surround us and what make us up and what make up every layer of the onion of energy that's around us. Still, but this other guy says that they're imaginary, but this is what the spiritual adepts talk about tachyon energy. Then there's this. This is Tyco Aerospace. They're in London, England. What do? They make spacecraft. Really. They make spacecraft. They make onboard fuel production units. They make radiation shielding technologies. They have a smart skin technology that protects the people inside the spacecraft that they're making to lower the cost of carrying cargo into orbit. The industry needed an economical model, and so they got it. This company is a spacecraft company, and it's not all bells and whistles in cosmetics and advertising and self-aggrandizement that Virgin Space is, or SpaceX. These guys are actually doing it. I think this company is communicating with celestials on off-world technologies that's going to carry us into the new millennium, right? So stay with me. This has to do with medbeds, satellite deploy, service and retrieval, ISS crew transport, rover deployment and retrieval, interstellar experimentation. This is a Tachyon Aerospace MX2 engine. You can kind of read about it here. Gyroscopic assist drive, precise maneuverability within the atmosphere and in zero Gs. Multiple versions of the engine developed and scaled according to missions and customer preferences. These engines are currently in production. So this is actually 26 feet long and 8 feet wide. That's how big it is. Onboard fuel production, because if you can't provide the fuel, you can't go out into the galaxies. These guys are providing onboard fuel production for their spacecraft that they're already producing, right? Plasma reactor core. Captain, she can't take anymore. Well, now she can. It's got a plasma reactor core. And it's part of the engine. They act as electrical power generators, act as part of the onboard fuel processing plant, supply heating and climate control for cockpit and passenger compartments, heating and climate control. Plasma reactor has been developed over 5 years, matured to a technology readiness level of 4, which means it's ready to go. It's a technology that's ready to be immediately implemented. A gyroscopic assist drive. Tell me all this stuff is not like future. I mean, how much of this is actually being used in space travel today, right? I mean, it just seems like there is so much rocket jet propulsion, rocket fuel fired coming out of the cores, and that it just seems like a big dog and pony show. And it seems to me that this type of technology that we're talking about right here makes more sense as far as interstellar travel. We're even using the words interstellar travel. Now check this out. Check it out. Radiation and electromagnetic pulse shielding, solar flares, heavy ions in background radiation. Smart skin technology that has been tested and matured, measures airflow, temperature, hull strain, magnetic field strengths, and will aid in the positioning of the plasma. Helps with radiation shielding, mitigate heat buildup, and reduce aerodynamic drag. Smart skin technology. So they got a whole screen that's going to be talking about what's going on the outside of the spacecraft. But check this out. Onboard med beds. Well, yeah, the TAV-1 is fitted with our med bed technology to prevent and treat a wide variety of ailments and sickness crew or passengers might experience during a space flight. Do you see how this technology here, I mean, they've been at this already. This Tachyon Aerospace has been at this already. They know what they're doing. So the likelihood, since we have been communicating with extraterrestrials since the 50s, right? And we know that tachyon energy is real, right? That it works with the body in the subtle organizing energy fields. So real that a company has been developed to work on tachyon energy that just happens to have a medbed technology that employs or this technology or versions of this technology that they're already using. In conclusion, I believe that this medbed might be super duper expensive, but does exist and could very well be the actual med beds that Trump has been talking about, that they're going to have thousands of medical beds. President Trump made an announcement back last year that said they have thousands of medical beds ready to go. I don't think he was talking about hospital beds. I think he was talking about these, right? So if these medical beds exist and they are off-world technology and they come from Tachyon Energy, which is from this company, Tachyon Aerospace, that just happens to do things like gyroscopic assist drive, plasma reactor cores, onboard fuel production for spacecraft, engines for spacecraft, and of course, spacecraft themselves. Makes sense that this company that mentions this medbed technology is probably the company that has developed this medbed, and therefore the medbed does exist. I believe that medbeds do exist. They're not a future technology. We will be seeing them in the very near future because President Trump announced about a year ago that they've got thousands of med beds ready to go and ready to be shipped out, or he said they've got thousands of medical beds ready to go, ready to be shipped out. And there's a video of that. If I can find it, I'll put it in there. And I believe he was not talking about hospital beds. I believe he was talking about tachyon energy medical beds, med beds, as illustrated in the Tyco Aerospace website. Isn't that exciting? I mean, isn't that exciting to know you can kind of click yourself into what might feel like an amusement park ride and come out and you've regenerated an organ, or you've regenerated a limb, or you go in and the tachyon energy comes in and reverses the aging process, and an 80-year-old woman goes in and she comes out 50 years younger. Can you imagine? Can you imagine another 50 or 60 or 100 years of life of even greater longevity? But the thing is, it's not a life like we have now of lockdowns and craziness and communism and devil worshippers and all that other crazy stuff, but it's a life of beauty and abundance and health and free energy. Do you see how this being real lends credence to the likelihood that we are about to go back on the gold standard? We're about to have a debt jubilee, and we're about to come into the greatest times of our lives. I'm super excited. I hope you are too. Anyway, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm waiting for people from both companies to call me back, both Tesla Biohealing and Tachyon Energy in England, to get back with me. And whenever I can set up an interview with them, I will record it and let you see it. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you learned something. Bye for now.